I have no idea if you can hear me. I think you can now. Hello. Beautiful day. Lots and lots and lots of sunshine out there. And green country Cornish fields, and it's still not many flowers in the garden, etc., but we are beginning to bloom, if you know what I mean. And spring is starting to look good. Well, today it is anyway. Welcome along, hope you're well. Right, customer dropped off saying dodgy HDMI and no picture. So I'm guessing the no picture side of this is going to be the backlights, but now I've taken the packaging off, we can have a look at the screen and just see what it does when we plug it in. Looking a bit dirty and a bit dusty, but it's not looking broken. So it's on standby. Usually with these, when switched on, you may get the LG logo flicker if it's a backlight issue, and we did, and it continues to. I don't know if you can see it, it was pulsating a bit. You can probably see, well actually I don't know what you can see because I've put this television in front of the monitor, but it is pulsating. So there's a backlight issue here. Yeah, you can see. And I also think there's a problem with the HDMI. Even though it looks fine, but apparently one is broken. So we may need to try and solder a new one on, or we may need to go and have a look at a new board. But the customer's going to get 3 quotes for this. Going to get a quote for brand new backlights and brand new board if needed. Or if they're on a budget, repair to the backlights and a second-hand board. What's the difference in price? Well, I imagine the brand new backlights fitted are going to be around £90, and the board is probably a brand new board from LG is going to be similar, whereas if I repair the backlights, possibly going to be £40, and the board is going to be £20 on eBay, possibly. So, you know, it's between 60 and double, I suppose, that. Maybe a bit more. So less than half to go second hand. Going second hand on the backlights is never a wise option, but we are living, you know, if this is just a spare room TV and it gets used half a dozen times a year, then maybe that's the economical suggestion or answer at present. Anyway. Obviously now I've got to take the back off it and strip it down, and we'll have a look at how many backlights have gone and just see if we can do anything with that. Still one screw in. There's always a screw in. The other thing to bear in mind when working on these televisions and quoting a customer, I try and be as honest as upfront as I can, because I still get the labour fee, you know, whether they go for a full set or a half set. But if there's only one backlight that's failed on this, one that's burnt out rather than shorted out, because this is an LB. I don't think I've given you the model number, but for those that need to know, it's a 49 LB 5500 or 5500 if you're posh. It's one of them. It's not a smart TV. It was one of LG's first large screen LED TVs before everybody started going smart. Mind you, this is a look at the date on that. That surprises me. February 2015, which is 7 years, almost to the day. And I say that surprises me because I would have thought this was going to go back to 2012, 2013. This seems to be a later model. But yes, if it's only got one LED out, because this is an LB rather than LN, and if you've been part of the channel for some time, you may realise now that the LB is the 6-volt LED rather than the LN, which is the 3-volt LED. Have I taken all the screws out now? It's telling me no. What's wrong with me? But anyway, the 6-volt, no, there's still one in here. Wow. The 6-volt is more reliable. So if it's just one gone, I would say to the customer, just go for the repair. And I would still give a year's warranty. I'd still stand by it. You have to stand by your claims. But if some customers and ah and go, no, I'll go for the brand new set. Don't want to risk it happening again. The only thing that may cause is a slight delay if I haven't got them in stock. I'm sure I've got a set of these in. I will only have 1 or 2 sets if I have. And quite by coincidence, I'm sure, I don't know if I put it on the channel or not, I'm sure I did one of these not so long ago. Right, we're going to be lifting the screen up, gloves on because it's a customer's TV. I'm going to start with this side, just enough to get my hands up. Some people stick the tabs down. That's well worth doing, and it is a good idea if you're moving the screen far, but literally my screen goes 2 centimeters and goes up. And there it is. Done. Now the tab can come. Oh, sorry. Now the rest of the I don't know why I'm whispering. Why am I whispering? The rest of this can come up. And we'll check the LEDs and see. Go on, have a guess. How many do you think's going to be out? 7-year-old TV. We'll soon find out. Oh, there's a nice breeze coming in then. It's the phone. And it was this time, after taking a phone call about bringing some TVs in to be repaired, that I forgot to switch the microphone back on, so stand by for Mr. Voiceover Man for the next few minutes. But we've been through this on so many times, and do excuse the royalty-free music in the background. It's got no connection to the work I'm doing whatsoever, but it's royalty-free, and it kind of stops me from getting in trouble, if you know what I mean. So we've diagnosed the fact that there's a backlight issue on this particular television. So it means getting out the equipment. I say getting out the equipment is always here. And just grabbing the LED tester and going through the strips one by one. I think, as I mentioned earlier, and I'm just disconnecting the LEDs from the power supply now, just to make sure I don't reverse voltage and cause any issues. I've never had a problem doing that in the past with an LG TV. Usually with Vestels you have to be careful if you're sending voltage back down the line. because of their very sensitive LED drivers. Someone's asked me about the LED tester that I use, and where's all my lights that I keep switching on? Well, they're just up above. There's the switch for the lights, and the lights is just a screen. It's an old Samsung TV screen, so it's just the backlights that are being switched on. And then switch 3 switches on and off the LED tester, which I just have above me, just above head height, so I can read the DC voltage. It reads from DC 0 voltage to DC 300 volts. And if you've got it switched on, it's automatically set to 300 volts. Well, it will go up to 300 volts pretty quickly. So be careful if you touch the terminals. You won't notice straight away. And on a couple of occasions, I've accidentally had my hand on the, you can see there, 310, 311 volts DC. I've accidentally had my hands on the prongs, and you just forget and get distracted. And then all of a sudden, there's 310 volts going down your little finger. And you tend to shout a little bit. It's enough to give you a little zap, but it is a protected circuit, so it shouldn't cause too many problems. Anyway, let's get back to this TV, because we're rather hoping, excuse me while I cough and sneeze, rather hoping and guessing, as I just changed the TV camera angle now to the top camera, that there's only one LED out. Because, as I've mentioned earlier, if it's just one LED, we can just replace that, and it should last us some time. It's when you start looking at 2, 3, 4 LEDs that's the problem. So I'm just going to get rid of the graphics. So we've just got a full screen of the LEDs, and we'll go through them line by line and see if we can find what is possibly going to be the faulty one or the faulty line. Anyway, bottom strip first. All seems to be okay. And I'm sure you've seen me do this on multiple occasions. It's just putting the positive and negative on the contacts down the side of the strips. But the way these are wired in, the strips, the strip above the bottom strip is upside down, so you can go to the other side of that strip to read both sides. But at the moment, both the bottom and the penultimate bottom, if that's a word, seem to be okay. For some reason, I've missed out the middle strip. Well, I haven't. I've tested the middle strip, or trying to test the middle strip now, and it's not coming on. So bear that in mind. But the second from bottom strip seems to work okay. As you can see, everyone is lighting. Now let's just try to see if we can light the second and the top together, and it's not, and that's going to be a bit problematic for me now, I think, because maybe that means, well, not problematic, it just means quoting the customer for a brand new set. Oh, we did get the top set, we did get that top set to light, did we? Okay, so it's looking like this one. This is the one that is not lighting up, and because of that it's stopping all the rest from lighting up as well. So that's pretty good news. It's amazing how it's the one that's dead center, smack in the middle of the screen, but I will take the lens off so I know which one it is. So it looks like we're going to get away with just replacing one to get this TV working at a reasonable cost. It's quite a large screen. It's a 49-inch screen. It's a high-definition TV. Well, it's what they used to call HD ready, which means you can get the full HD picture if you plug in using one of the 2 HDMIs. You can see a slight accident that I had. I thought I'd take off the LED using my little blower, my hot air station, because I didn't think I'd have it very hot, and then I soon realised that it started to melt the reflector sheet pretty quickly, as you can see. It actually looks worse from this camera angle than it is. It's not going to cause any problems. So it's back to some old-fashioned soldering just to get these LEDs in. I didn't think I had many spare LEDs, and then I've just opened up a drawer, as you do in this business. You open up a drawer and find amazing things. And I've just found a pack of 500 of these 6-volt LEDs. So it's just a case of soldering in. The problem is, from time to time, whenever you take one off, if you don't take it off with care, and actually using the hot air station is probably the most careful way to take off an LED. But I have noticed that the negative contact was pretty much damaged, but I've managed to repair the trace, stuck another 6-volt LED in, and as you can see, it's sorted that issue. So it now means all the LEDs should light up. All I'm going to have to do is glue the lens back on. And then plug them back in. Clean it up, obviously. The fact that I've scarred and scorched a little bit of the reflector sheet is not going to cause any problems. It really is minute. It looks a lot worse on the camera because, of course, you get the scorch marks from the hot air station that's actually on the plastic LED, well, the aluminium LED strip itself. So sticking on a bit of glue to stick this lens back on, and as I'm using not the best quality B7000 glue, there's different grades, and this particular grade that I have is not what you can class as a 10-second glue. It does tend to take a few minutes to bond, so what I will do is, I'm just taking away some of the excess stuff that I burnt away on the strip, but what I'm going to do is stick it on and then leave it in this position. I'm not going to lift it up. I'm pointing at something there while talking about something. I've got no idea what I was pointing at there, sorry. The other thing to bear in mind, because I have soldered this LED in rather than use the hot air station, is the LED is obviously making good contact for it to work, but it's not necessarily going to be exactly, and I mean exactly, in the place it was before. We're talking millimeters of millimeters here. But that can be a problem when you stick on the lens. So obviously my intention is to stick on the lens on the 3 dots that I'm supposed to, so the lens goes back in exactly the right place. But if the LED is slightly off center, and only slightly off center, it can cause a reflection. And so I'm just lifting up gently and plugging in. This is just a test now that all of them are going to come back on. And I'll also have a chance to look to see if I've got any halos, as we used to call them, which is just a little white shadow if you haven't managed to get the lens on correctly. I have to say, even though these lenses are very durable and will last a long time, and I'm going to give the customer a year's warranty just for sticking this one LED, I think it will be absolutely fine. I've done it in the past. I can't recall of any comebacks that I've had. So just plugging the mains back in. And now I'm just making sure that even though I've put the LED lens back on precisely, I'm not quite happy with it because... And there's a couple on this set which have gone cloudy. And bear that in mind. I don't think we've covered the cloudy lens situation on a LG TV in particular before. Because if they go cloudy, that will cause halos. And there's probably, well, maybe up to half a dozen on this set that's gone cloudy. And I do notice when I put the sheet back on that there's... Well, put it this way, it's quite transparent and you can see the LEDs behind, but you always could on these sort of sets, and there's nothing really much more than I can do to stop that. You can probably see that one that I've just put on, which is just slightly glowing through a bit more than I'd like it to. So what I'm going to do, it's glowing through more, and excuse the lines on the TV, it's just the shutter that causes this. What I'm going to do is find a cleaner, better quality lens, which is that one that I've just stuck on there. And that will stop the halo and the reflection so much. But I'm not going to do it with all of them. As I say, this needed probably half a dozen of them but I'm just hoping that when I do manage to stick all the reflector sheets back on, that it's not as bad as I think it looks when I first put them down. And eventually it's not, and when the TV gets sorted, you can't actually see you can't see the backlights, but I could see a few little bits at this stage here, which was annoying me slightly. So in the answer to the question, is it worth just replacing one? Most of the time I say no, but you can tell sometimes when the customers are on a budget, and as I'm recording this, which is spring 2022, most customers have gone back to being on a budget. So if you give them two prices, if you quote them two prices, they're more than likely to go for the cheaper option because they're guaranteed to get the TV back working, and that's what they want. Well, thank you, Mr. Voiceover Man. Yes, I did switch the microphone off and forgot to switch it back on, which is when things go wrong. So, TV is back in. I'm just plugging it in. I've got a Blu-ray player plugged in. We need to swap camera angles, so we'll have a look at the big screen. And I just want to have a look at the picture quality. Well, that is actually looking... Oh, okay. What is going on? Oh, I'm still on that. Okay, do excuse me. I need to get my multi-screen back up. We need to bring that in. So, that actually, for what it's worth, seems to be okay. Look if I can press a play button here. See if that helps me play the disc. Piracy is not a victimless crime. Yes, remember that. Don't seem to have it very focused on this. So I'm just going to study the backlights because I noticed that the backlights on this were a bit cloudy, and well, if the backlights are cloudy, it can cause quite a few issues with seeing the back rings, etc. So you actually see the backlights. Just got it running up an old Blu-ray player because my portable Blu-ray player died of death, sadly. Right, come on, I just want to... Can we have a picture? There's less of this faffing around. I always hate this in movies. A so-and-so production is so-and-so in association with him, an association with them, and a so-and-so production, and in association with... Yeah. Yeah, you see, I can see the backlights in that, and so can you. Look at it. But that's what happens when the backlights go cloudy. That's got nothing to do with any of the work that I've done. In fact, the one you can't see the least is the one that we fixed, which is there. I haven't put the speakers in yet, so there's no sound. But that's only on the bright white scenes that they will see it. Everything else, you're not going to give it any attention. And most people wouldn't see it if you didn't point it out to them. So, anyway. But they did say a HDMI is not working. Well, that's HDMI 1. Let me squeeze it into HDMI 2. And of course I'm now going to need a LG remote control . Oh, maybe that was HDMI 2 then, because it now says HDMI 1. Could well be, but they're both working. So there's nothing wrong with the HDMI ports. So wonderful. It's another LG. Let's put up the LG logo, shall we? It's another LG winner. Here we go. And it should last us some time. That was only one which had burnt out. Let's just see how they've got the backlights set for those people that are interested. Are they on 100%? Let's go to picture. Do we need to turn it down? Well, it's on eco. I could put it down to medium. It's a dark scene anyway, this. But yeah, that's up and running. I'll clean the screen. It was filthy along the bottom. I don't know if I showed you me cleaning that. But it was filthy along the bottom. And it's now working as good as it can be for a 7-year-old TV. And if they keep the backlights low, it should last us quite some time, I'm hoping. But we shall see. Thank you for watching. See you in the next time.